Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, in what seems to be a constant state of auditioning for a role in Joe Biden's administration, probably as his vice presidential candidate, has a new initiative. And this is the initiative that is going to help the working people of Michigan, the people that are struggling, the people who don't know how they're going to pay their rent or put food on the table. This is the thing that is going to make all the difference to the working class people of Michigan. Free college tuition for essential workers. Does anyone else see a potential problem with this? In fact, there are several potential problems to this, and we're going to talk about a few of them. But before we get into this article, just one quick thing. If you like my channel, you like the content I'm producing, click that subscribe button, turn on notifications, give it a thumbs up, all that good stuff. If you think you're subscribed, just give it a double check for me, please, because YouTube likes to unsubscribe people from my channel. Apparently, I have been put in that bucket of people. Yay, fun times. But let's dig into this story. What does Herr Gretchen want to do today? Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer announced Futures for Frontliners as part of a series of initiatives to help Michigan families during and after the coronavirus pandemic. The new program would provide tuition-free higher education for those considered essential workers during the coronavirus lockdown. And we're going to look at the official press release on it in just a second, but here's the line that really stood out to me in the Forbes article. Now, full disclosure, I have not extensively fact-checked this. If this does not turn out to be true, please leave a comment. I will update it accordingly. But here's what Forbes is reporting. The governor said this would be partially funded by federal funds from the CARES Act. That's interesting, isn't it? Gretchen Whitmer wants to use federal money from the CARES Act to provide free college tuition for essential workers. Let's take a look at the official press release. Futures for Frontliners program to provide a tuition-free pathway to college or a technical certificate to essential workers who don't have a college degree. The first question in my mind is, why is someone a nurse or a doctor if they don't have a college degree? But that's neither here nor there. Let's keep reading. This includes workers like ones staffing our hospitals and nursing homes, stocking the shelves at our grocery stores, providing childcare to critical infrastructure workers, manufacturing PPE, protecting public safety, picking up trash, and delivering supplies. Now listen. I have no problem with higher education. I literally have, it's either 26 or 27 years of schooling under my belt. I am a big believer in education. I'm a big believer in people going to college and learning what they want to learn and applying it to their life in whatever way they see fit, or frankly, not at all. I think that education for education's sake can be a generally good thing. However, is it just me, or does this seem like using a crisis to advance a policy that you wanted to do anyway? Let's keep reading. The Futures for Frontliners program is the first of its kind in the country and was inspired by the federal government's support for soldiers returning from World War II by providing educational opportunities. You know what I think is funny and maybe even a bit ironic about that is, like, every time Trump gets up at these press briefings and he's like, we are fighting an invisible enemy. It is an invisible enemy. We are at war with an invisible enemy. You know what the very first thing I hear from my liberal friends is they post it on their Facebook. They're like, Trump, we're not at war. You're not a general. Stop acting like we're at war. But when it's convenient to what they want to do, apparently we really are at war and we need to treat this like veterans returning from World War II. All right, let's keep going. Frontline workers who take advantage of this program will help us to reach Governor Whitmer's goal to increase the number of working-age adults with a technical certificate or college degree from 45% to 60% by 2030. Oh, so this was already a plan? This was already something you had on the docket, and now you're taking advantage of this crisis to push your agenda through because it's all about coronavirus and protecting those who are protecting us. BS, Gretchen. I'm calling you out on this. Come on, man. In your own writing, this was already a goal, and it's just a convenient way to guilt people in to voting for what you want to do. No Michigander should have to worry about how to feed their family or pay rent during a crisis. How is free college tuition for essential workers going to help anyone feed their family or pay their rent during a crisis? That's a good question. And no Michigander should be scared to go to work. From the beginning, my team and I have been working around the clock to solve these problems for working families, and I will continue to fight for our working people long after this crisis is over. None of this has to do with free college tuition, Gretchen. I don't know what you're talking about. And really, it seems as though the people of Michigan are highly, maybe not highly, but maybe at least a little bit skeptical of this as well. I posted this on Twitter earlier and I asked for some responses. Here are a few that I got. It's not only problematic, it's maddening. I'm a Michigander who has not seen 1 red cent from Michigan's UIA, and I know I'm not alone. 7 weeks, no income. Unbelievable. I want my job back. And Rebecca says, yes, I'm here in Michigan, and why should people who have their jobs get their tuition paid? And by whom? Us unemployed taxpayers? Rebecca brings up a great point, because when we look at this article from US News, it seems as though Michigan is one of the hardest hit states when it comes to unemployment. First, can we talk about the fact that roughly 30 million Americans, 1 in 5 people, are without a job right now, have filed for these unemployment claims? And we still have people on the left saying, you only want to kill grandma. That's the only reason why you want to open up the economy. Please, people need to work. Work gives us a direction, it gives us a purpose, it gives us something to focus our energy into that can actually be used to create things that are useful in the real world. But how is this particularly impacting Gretchen's state of Michigan? Jobless claims since social distancing began. 1.1 million jobless claims in Michigan, an increase of 4,300% over last year. Michigan has also seen both a large number of total filings and a large share of its workforce seeking this benefit. Michigan ranks 5th in terms of gross filings and 3rd in the percentage of its workforce that has sought assistance. And look at this. Jobless claims as a percentage of labor force, 24%. Okay, 23.8, but I'm rounding up. 24% of Michigan's labor force has filed for unemployment claims since last March. And we want to give free college tuition away to essential workers. Dagny says, this makes no sense. How about free college for people who have lost their jobs? That seems to be an idea worth considering, doesn't it, Dagny? I just don't understand the blatant disregard for people who are being completely wiped out financially. And really, when you think about the people who are behind these protests, who are going out and protesting their governments to get their rights back, get their liberties back, the fundamental distinction that we see over and over and over again are the people that are protesting lost their jobs. They don't have jobs. It's not universally true, but a large percentage of them, they just want to go back to work. And the people who are shaming them and saying, you just want to kill grandma, you don't care about us, you don't care about old people. These are people who are typically still collecting a paycheck. Now, I looked at this article a couple weeks ago on one of my videos. I'll link it in the description below. It is a wonderful piece on the topic of the protests, but I want to just fast forward down to the end here because you guys have been ragging on me for making videos that are too long. There are really only 2 Americas here. Those still getting a paycheck from the government, corporations, or universities, and those who are unemployed or seeing their small businesses suffer due to the shutdowns. And the America that is still getting paid so far is not showing a whole lot of sympathy for the America that isn't. And we've seen this is Gretchen's game as well. I talked about this in a video the other day, but let's just return to Gretchen's statement a few weeks ago from those protesters who did that massive gridlock protest. Let's see how much sympathy Herr Gretchen showed them at the time. It was essentially a political rally, a political statement that flies in the face of all science and the best practice to stay at home. This was a small group of people, really insignificant in a state of 10 million people. I don't even know why we're talking about it. Okay, she didn't exactly say that. I'm adding my own dramatic flair to that. But that's essentially what she said is this small group of people, I don't really need to worry about them. Who really cares anyway? I'm all for having a difference of opinion. If people are angry and I know there's a lot of angst and people are feeling it and they want to direct it at me, that's fine. I can take it. But showing up and being this irresponsible is not just endangering their own lives, but the ability to meet the needs of the people in the state who are trying to do the right thing. And what did Gretchen do? after that protest? What did she do when all of these people showed up on her doorstep to say, this is not cool, we want to go back to work? Did she do the leadership thing, dare I say, and maybe get on a Zoom call with the protest leaders to discuss their concerns, to discuss what concessions she can make? Hell, even Donald Trump tweeted the other day, he was like, you know what you should really do, Governor Whitmer, is just give them a little something, work with them a little bit. When Donald Trump becomes the voice of reason in a situation, that should all give us pause. But Gretchen did not do that. What she says is, this is the kind of behavior that extends the need for a stay-at-home order that spreads COVID-19, that overruns communities, and is precisely the worst thing that could have happened. So essentially what she said when she was showing sympathy to the working class people of Michigan is that, you know what, because y'all came out and protested, I might extend this order. And that's exactly what she did. Unilaterally, the other day, the legislature voted not to extend her emergency powers. Gretchen basically said, I'm going to do it anyway. This woman does not care about the people of Michigan. What she cares about is advancing an agenda that she already had prior to this crisis. They're not even trying to hide it anymore. They just don't care. They don't care. Because you just want to kill grandma. That's all you care about. No, Gretchen, that's not what people care about. People care about putting food on their table and paying the rent and not getting financially ruined over this situation. And if you sat down and actually talked to them and listened to their concerns, you might actually get the message.